A year and a half ago, we left London, and at the time, it felt like an impossible choice. This city had been our whole world, full of energy, opportunity, and in constant motion, but it was also exhausting. The noise, the pace, the pressure to always be seen achieving, it all became too much, especially after my children and I were diagnosed with autism. And that's when we as a family realized we didn't need more speed, but we needed more quiet. So we came here to the Scottish Highlands, to the wide skies and the rolling hills, and to a place where time moves a little bit differently and where the pressure to perform simply fell away. When we lived in London, our life was full. It was full of noise, full of schedules, and full of people. And for years, I thought that was just how life was going to be. We were always rushing around. It was as if we were running perpetually late to our own lives. But after I was diagnosed with autism, and later when my children were diagnosed with autism, my husband and I realized that type of life just wasn't sustainable. London is dazzling, yes, but it demands a type of performance. And while some people may thrive on that stage, I found myself slipping behind the curtain. Truth is, I found myself engaging in some not very healthy coping mechanisms. And as a family, we didn't just want to survive that pace. We wanted to thrive. We wanted to live. And in truth, we had always dreamt of moving out to the country. And I think we just reached a point where it's like, it's now or never. We had been to the Highlands on a family vacation right after lockdown, and it was the happiest we'd ever been as a family. Scotland was quieter, and actually we saw the kids really start to thrive on the holiday. They seemed to come out of their shell when they weren't overstimulated. They got very into the nature and the hiking we were doing, and we noticed a real difference in all of our well-being. And so the quiet hills of Scotland really, really called to us. Now the geese are calling to me. While London may have its grand stages, we've discovered just as much drama here in village life, only with better scenery and fewer people watching. And slowly, this old house and this beautiful landscape, they've given me gifts that I didn't even know I was missing. It's getting cold out here now. But in this video, I wanted to share with you 3 ways that living up here has helped me heal, create, and kind of start to find myself again. Before I share the 3 biggest ways living here has changed me, I owe all of you an update. So as you can see, I am right in the middle of another project, and it is the big room. So many of you guys asked and were excited to see the color. So it is this beautiful, moody blue. It is a Farrow and Ball color called Enchira Blue, but I do not do Farrow and Ball paint. It's basically, to me, it is well-marketed water. So I got it mixed in a Dulux Heritage paint. And would you believe that paint is so good that this dark color, one coat did this room, and we could not be happier with it. But as you can see, there's still a lot going on. So I did an online poll and I asked, what should I do with the bookcases? So I was torn between painting it the white of the trim in the windows, which is staying. That is staying, that is not going, because the windows are all white inside and out, and I do not want 2 different colors. Anyway, I was like, do I paint them the white or do I paint them the same blue as the wall? Now, overwhelmingly, everybody told me to paint it the same blue as the wall. So I hightailed it into town and I bought this same blue in a eggshell, and I hated it. I'm going to strip these back. I'm going to strip the Victorian bookcases back. This will be months, literally weeks of work, because these are 150 years old, right? But I think it's the right choice for the room. Do you like the marks of my mask? Yeah, makes me look great. Anyway, this room is still clearly a work in progress. The state of this room is actually perfect to explain to you how living here has changed me, because this mess because a few years ago, I wouldn't have been able to deal with this mess. And now, while I don't like the mess, I do appreciate the process of putting together a space. Welcome to my studio. Never shown on camera before because it looks like this. So welcome to the first gift that the Highlands gave me, which is painting. And not just on walls, but on canvas as well. When we first moved here from London, I had no idea painting and art would become such a big part of my life. I really just didn't have the capacity to do it. I was just surviving. But out here, surrounded by these beautiful landscapes and living close to the water, I felt compelled, and I have done so many paintings in a year and a half. Not all of them do I absolutely love, but they have been quite an emotional journey, and also just watching myself get better. Between motherhood, ADHD, autism, and now this wild ride called menopause, my mind is constantly going. But when I paint, even for a little while, I get drawn into another world. The lines, the colors, the imagination it provides for me, I can't explain it really. It's like a flow state. And it's not about perfection. A lot of my work I'm not very proud of. But let me show you a few things I've done. This painting probably took me the longest, but I'm very proud of her. Women staring at water is kind of a reoccurring theme for me. The painting on the left I painted last year, and the one on the right is the one I'm currently working on this year. But the one on the right is made with only 4 colors. This painting I entered into an art show this summer and won 3rd prize. I'm very proud of her, and she was based off a book I read. And Princess Donut loves her too. The second gift the Highlands gave me was space. For so many years, my whole identity was wrapped around raising children. And while that has been the greatest joy of my life, I left very little room to ask who I was outside of that role. Here in the Highlands, time feels different, slower, quieter, almost as though it waits for you to catch up. And in that quiet, that's where I found the space to wonder, what do I want to do for myself? Not as a mother, not as a wife, but for me. And something surprising happened. I realized that I was not separate from those roles. What I realized is that I was resentful of society's expectations of those roles. The perfect mother, the thin, smiling Stepford wife. Those titles, that's what I would never be. But here, I found the space to be me. Which leads me to my final point. Living in a rural area has freed me from perfection. In Surrey, everything felt like a performance, seen and be seen. Even my home often felt like a strange, staged set. And don't get me wrong, I like a good staged set. But this old house with its crooked walls and creaky floors has no interest in perfection. It has only asked to be lived in and taken care of. And if she can survive 300 years with her flaws, I can survive with mine too. Do I still long for a Martha Stewart level of attention to detail? Yes, that's usually how inspiration works. But now I'm okay with that wiggle room. And besides, The wiggle room leaves room for whimsy. You know, like hanging an oil painting in the larder. So when I look back at leaving London and leaving that stage of perfectionism, I feel like this point in my life is a bit like a quiet intermission. Up here, I've been able to explore my artistic aptitude. Say that 3 times fast. Yes, and the long walks. Sometimes it's just me when my husband's away. And, when was the last time you went for a long walk with just your thoughts? That has helped me so much. And then, I still enjoy making a beautiful space and making something perfect. But now I don't get upset if it's not perfect. I'm happy in that wiggle room where it's pretty and it'll last. Like this old house, I'm still a work in progress and usually covered in more than one layer of paint. So next week I'll give you another update on how the bookcases are going. Right now, it's a mess. A really big mess. But that's okay because we are not chasing perfect.